Yo, welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and today is roster cut day, big day in the NFL, and I'm here to break it down and give you my 53-man roster. We're going to be doing a lot of discussion on here. I got one person for this. We got Rohith right here. He's going to be presenting his 53-man roster. We're going to be comparing, contrasting, doing a lot, and just breaking down what happens. We also might get some news as we go along, so we'll talk about that. But first off, Rohith, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. How about you?
Hey, man, life's good right now, I got to say. But, yeah, today's a big day in the NFL. I'm really excited to look to just talk about this. Some of you guys might have seen I made a projection last night. And I kind of wanted to talk about it. I didn't know if I would have the time, but I do, luckily. So that's all good. What's good, 2KB respect. But anyways, before we get into it, make sure to follow me on Twitter at NinerWireSam. My Instagram's at NinerWire_YT. Also, make sure to check out the Brawl Network. That's the network I'm a part of. I'm doing a lot of writing there. I'm also the host of Gridiron Brawl, so make sure to check out those links right there. Also, you got to follow Rohith on Twitter and IG at RohithKanan71. He also is part of the Faithful Four podcast, the 49ers podcast, so make sure to check that out as well on Spotify. I believe Apple Music too.
Yeah, I think we're on Apple Podcasts now.
Apple Podcasts, yeah. So I don't use Apple Podcasts. That's why I didn't know. And then finally, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the chat. And also, guys, this is the first of 2 uploads today. We got the second video coming. You guys are really going to like that. I spent a lot of time on that last night. So you guys got to make sure, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. Make sure to stay tuned for that because I know that you guys are going to love that video. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So before we talk about the roster, let's talk about the big news. Well, I don't know if you would consider it big, but the news that came out this morning, D Ford, we restructured his contract. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that deal puts us at $19 million in terms of cap space. So there's still a couple of big name free agents still on the market, and we got a couple of big in-house extensions coming up. So maybe we're freeing up that cap space to either bring somebody in or just sign somebody long-term into the future. So it could be anyone like Trent Williams, Richard Sherman, Kyle Juszczyk. We don't know yet, though. But I
think one of those guys is going to need an extension. If I would say Sherman, I don't see Sherman getting extended this year until free agency because of he's 33, and usually at that age, cornerbacks really start to slow down. Obviously, he showed no signs of it, but you always have to be cautious with that. So I don't think we're going to extend Sherman. We may not even sign a contract for him. We may just franchise tag him at the end of the year. I've been saying that for a while. But if there is one guy that I do think would get a contract extension, it's Trent Williams, because right now we're having a ton of problems in our secondary, and it would be good to just secure that left tackle. And we're having problems in our interior line, so just securing that left tackle for the future, I think that would be a huge move right there. Yeah. Notifications are starting to come in, but not about the Niners right now. I think just knowing the Niners, I have a feeling that we might not get any news during the stream. I know they like to keep stuff on the DL a lot, especially like that just showed with the Kittle contract extension. It's just like, they reported it, and then it was they reported it, and then they said it was fake, and then it was true. So I feel like they're going to keep stuff on the DL like that. So we'll probably see something come out at 1 today. Also, I'm sorry if I look distracted. I'm just trying to get the video out right now, but multitasking at its finest. But yeah, you got any more
like
thoughts
you
on
said,
that?
We're not really going to hear anything until basically when the deadline hits or when the deadline passes, because that's when all the news starts flooding in. And let's be honest, especially with this current Niners brass, we're not really going to get anything up front until that actually happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that, I know David Lombardi said it perfectly, like they cut the cap, and then rumors are going to start to fly. So I know someone's going to tweet out a Jadeveon Clowney rumor today to the Niners, because I think that they've put the Niners out there before, but I still don't see it happening unless for some reason we cut Kerry Hyder and Kevin Givens. I think for sure that then you talk about maybe you're signing Clowney, but I just don't see it happening, especially just he wants a lot of money. So, and I don't think we can afford that right away. So yeah. All right, let's get into the roster predictions. So we're just going to go position by position, tell how many we have. If we agree on stuff, we're not going to discuss it that much. We can just discuss about some of the other guys that got cut. I'm just pulling up my notes right here. But anyways, let's start off with quarterbacks. I got 2. What about you?
I got 2.
You got Garoppolo and Mullins?
Jimmy G and Mullins.
Perfect. So Jimmy G and Mullins making – a lot of people are saying, oh, Beathard's going to make this roster because he did last year. The reason he made it last year is because we needed a third quarterback because of Jimmy's ACL. We didn't know that if that was a serious injury or not. This year's a different story. Now you have Mullins, who was a proven backup, and you got Jimmy G as a starter. So you got that. I mean, it works out perfectly. And I think you could put Beathard on the practice squad because everyone's eligible this year. I didn't know that until a few days ago for practice squad.
Oh, they changed the rules?
Yeah, everyone's eligible this year.
Okay,
so you could put George Kittle on the practice squad.
So I've seen many players make it onto a practice squad. I'm like, wait, how are they eligible? And now that makes sense.
Yeah, everyone's eligible this year. So that's definitely a good thing in my opinion, because you're gonna be able to stash a lot of guys. But also let's talk one cut that happened yesterday. Josh Rosen. I would not mind at all cutting Beathard and bringing Rosen in and putting him on the practice squad. He definitely. I think here in San Francisco. That's a great situation for him. And I think it will work out really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the guy really needs is a change of scenery and like an actual chance to prove himself because, let's be honest, he was set up to fail in Arizona as the number 10 pick with a defensive-minded head coach, no offensive line, and his only real weapon being an aging Larry Fitzgerald. Then he gets shipped to Miami after the new regime comes in. Ryan Fitzpatrick does what Ryan Fitzpatrick does and dupes a team into thinking he's an actual franchise QB.
I know.
and then he's just sitting there not really being able to do anything. So, man,
yeah, I know.
The man's just had a hard first 2 years. Dude just needs to change the scenery.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Cardinals situation, like their O-line. I mean, they kept like in the week 1 of 2019, they had relatively the same O-line. And that was the O-line where Kyler Murray got sacked by his own guard. So, I mean, that just showed how bad their O-line was. And I think Miami too, like their O-line was a complete mess. And I think they added a ton of guys on that O-line to try to improve it. So I think there's going to be a lot of, I think if he finds a situation with a good O-line, good offensive system, which we have, I think that's going to work out really well for him. So I think he would definitely be a good candidate to sign.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. Running back. This is where it starts to get interesting because we have a few questions. We definitely have a few questions on the running back line. And I have 5 running backs, including Juszczyk.
Yep, including Juszczyk, I got 5.
All right, so I got Mostert, Coleman, McKinnon, Juszczyk, and Hasty. Do you have Hasty on your roster?
Yep, I got Hasty. A lot of people are talking about Jeff Wilson, but here's the thing. What Jeff Wilson has over Hasty is knowing the system. But I feel like Hasty brings something to the team that Jeff Wilson doesn't. And what Jeff Wilson brings, we kind of already got guys who do the same thing. I mean, Sure, dude's a walk-in touchdown. He's good in the red zone, but Tevin Coleman really could blossom into our red zone guy this season. And honestly, if we want a walk-in touchdown machine, like honestly, we can just have anybody score because I think we probably had the most players score a touchdown last year in terms of just the number of players scoring at least one touchdown.
Yeah, you said it perfectly right there. I mean, watching his film in college, it seemed like he like just watching his thing. He can definitely be a power back. He's a bit undersized, and he would work perfectly in a committee, which is what we have. And I think one of the reasons people avoided him is because they didn't want to have him be like the number 2 back because I think he needs to be in that committee. So I think if you just by keeping Hasty on the roster, it's going to make a lot of sense, in my opinion, just for a scheme fit. Now, the only problem with putting Wilson on the practice squad, which I do have, is that he's going to get picked up by someone else, which I think at the end of the day, it's not that bad. I mean, you could probably just pick up Salvin Ahmed again and put him back on the practice squad. But personally, I just think Wilson needs, I wouldn't say Wilson needs a change of scenery. I just think we need to just move forward from him, get Hasty in the system. And I said it before a while back. I think he's going to thrive this year if he makes the roster. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we kept Wilson or Hasty, whoever we didn't keep on the 53-man roster was going to be scooped up by somebody either on waivers or if he makes it onto the practice squad.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're really going to lose one of them. It's just a matter of who. And I feel like we'd be better off losing Wilson in comparison to losing Hasty.
Yeah, other thing that we could do, which I don't think is going to happen because I know I don't think Kyle Shanahan would love this at all, is cut Coleman and keep both. That's the other thing because you clear some cap up. But at the same time, I think Kyle Shanahan just loves Tevin Coleman, so I don't see it happening. But I would not be surprised if that happened as well. So, yeah. And then the last running back who is on the roster it's a fullback, Josh Hokett. I have him on the practice squad, but I think he's going to get picked up by someone. I said this before. Obviously, I don't think he'll fit here with Juszczyk already here, but I definitely think someone else is going to swoop in and pick him up. Whether I know Buffalo just cut their running back, I think that might be a good spot for him. But he's definitely worthy of an NFL running back spot, so someone's definitely going to pick him up.
Yeah, the problem is we already have a established fullback and a very good one in that of Kyle Juszczyk, so we don't really have a need to pick up another fullback. So I don't see any reason for him to actually make the roster.
Yeah, and also like we'll talk about tight ends soon, but one guy that you could see like play that fullback role, who I've heard is doing some fullback roles, is Chase Harrell, the undrafted free agent at Arkansas, playing tight end, playing fullback, versatile guy. So I mean, I think he's definitely a lot more versatile than Hokett, and I think you can definitely keep Harrell on the roster or the 53 or the practice squad, I should say, and he'll be able to do those fullback roles if Juszczyk ever goes down. And I believe I haven't heard an update on Juszczyk's injury, but I think he's good for week 1 still. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
All right, perfect. So
actually, in general, in terms of injuries, I'm just going to put this out there. It looks like, and it sounds like we're going to be 100% for week 1. The vast majority of the guys that we got injured, they're most likely going to be back. I think they're still going to be a bit wary of Debo, but aside from that, basically 100%.
Yeah, I mean the guys I'm concerned about are Debo and Garland, because if we don't have Garland, then that's going to be a very interesting situation. What happens at center? We'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, you got anything else on running backs?
No, not really.
No. All right, perfect. So speaking of Debo, let's move on to wide receivers. So last year we kept 7. This year we're keeping 7. That's what I got right now.
Yeah, but I got 7.
You got 7? All right. So I got Debo, Ayuk, Bourne, Pettis, Trent Taylor, Juwan Jennings, and Richie James.
I got the exact same 7.
Oh, wow. That's perfect. So this is a lot easier video than we thought it would be.
Yep.
I think a lot of people have been riding. I know a lot of people have been riding the Kevin White hype train a lot, because I mean he was a first round pick, and now going to Kyle Shanahan's offense, he has a lot of room to succeed. But I just think like he's so new to the system that I think he needs a bit more time, and that's why I have him on the practice squad. Which luckily we can keep him on the practice squad this year, which I think is going to be the perfect place for him. Plus, he can rest up, heal. I know he has a ton of injury history, so I think that would be perfect right there.
Yeah. Like you said, the injury history helps him recover. Plus, we actually really need to bring him onto the 53-man roster. We can, because I genuinely don't feel like anybody's actually going to go and either pick Kevin White up from waivers or even from the practice squad. So I think we'll be able to hold on to him for a bit, and if we need to, we can just call him up to the 53-man roster.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I think a lot of people have him making it over Richie James, but then the question, it's like my biggest question, if we cut Richie James, is who is the kick returner? Because I mean that could just be maybe Pettis has been returning kicks really well. I haven't heard much about it. I feel like Niners camp has definitely been a bit quieter this year, with obviously like no fans in there. But maybe Pettis, maybe Ayuk have been doing really well at returning kicks, and then Richie James probably gone. Then you can bring in Kevin White, or just stick with 6 receivers, and just stick with 6 receivers and add like a roster spot that you need for another position, whether it's defensive line, offensive line, linebacker. We'll talk about those in a bit, but those are 3 positions.
One of the tougher decisions I had to make was regarding that 7th receiver. And if I kept that 7th receiver, then I had to cut my 5th safety, and that's where that came in. But I'm like, I still don't know the real situation with our kick and punt returning. So, but I feel like punt returning is probably either Taylor or Pettis. So it's really just kick returning.
Yeah, Trent Taylor too. I for a second I thought I didn't put Trent Taylor on the roster. I was about to just be upset at myself. But Trent Taylor, also another guy that can return punts, return kicks. I think Trent Taylor, from what I've heard, I think he's been good at punt returning. And I personally, I don't think Richie James is that good of a punt returner. I think he's a great kick returner. And I think you can definitely put Trent Taylor as the punt returner. But I gotta say, a lot of people are forgetting that Richie James is a good punt returner. Like he fumbled that punt in the Super Bowl, and then like everyone's like, oh, Richie James is the bad kick returner. But I mean, it's one kick, even though it's in the biggest moment. And I think he was I think it was like yards or something. There was some stat that like every kick returner should have a good number for top 10 in that. So I mean, and that was his second year. And I don't think
Plus, as a wide receiver, he had a couple of big plays, and he kind of a lot of the plays he made were kind of just like those. I want to call them like jumpstart plays that kind of just like jumpstarted the offense and started to get it rolling. In the Tampa Bay game, he caught that big 39-yarder touchdown from Jimmy G, and that's when we took the lead and never really looked back in that game. And against the Cardinals, we were down 16-0. He took a big screen pass for 59, 60 yards.
Yeah.
Like, whenever the ball is in his hands, something happens.
Yeah, he can go forward, man. I mean, he's definitely an underrated guy, in my opinion. So I think it is worth keeping on the practice squad. I have to interrupt, though. We have our first roster cut of the season, not a big one. This is from Matt Barrows. 49ers have informed that center Dakota Shepley has been released. He was a CFL guy, not big. I did not have him making the roster, but he is a center that's off the team. So now the question is going to be with, I think it's Grosso or something like that. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So I think now all eyes are going to be on him now that the other center is gone. So we'll see if Grosso makes the roster. We're going to talk about that a bit later. But Shepley, I didn't really know much about. I think we signed him. I think we just recently signed him. I didn't have him making the roster. 2 days ago. Yeah, like 2 days ago. But anyways, first roster cut of the season. There it is. All right, let's move on to tight ends. Yes, F in the chat. There you go. Tight ends, I got 4. 4. Kittle, Reed, Dwelly, Warner.
Yep.
Boom. All right, this is the easiest video I've done yet. And I don't really have much else to say about that other than I do have Chase Harold making the practice squad. I think he's definitely a really versatile guy. Going into camp there, I had so many question marks about him. And from what I've heard, he's looked really good. Still really raw, though, so I think he's going to need that time to develop. So I think practice squad is a great place for him to be. Personally, I think he's really just defying the odds right now because really he didn't do much in college at all. And the fact that he's on an NFL practice squad is I can't find the word for it, but it's interesting, I guess you can say. So I think that's
one thing that really confuses me about Chase Harold though is I think it was his pro day. He was working out with Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't say his name. I keep butchering it, but
yeah, it's all good.
But so there's also the fact that I think he can play D-line too. So he's literally just a gadget guy without the QB know-how, basically.
Yeah, I said they're using him in a fullback role too. So I think if Juszczyk ever goes down, they can bring him up. And I think that would be a good fit. But right now, I think he's going to start the season on the practice squad, and we'll see what goes from there. But Kittle, Reed, from what I've heard, at the beginning when Reed was signed, I said I don't have him making the roster. And then when George Kittle came out and said, "Oh, I'm watching film of Jordan Reed," that just showed me, yeah, he's definitely making this roster, being the number 2 tight end. Dwelly there, and then my guy Charlie Warner making this roster, which I love to see, obviously.
And all right. And a lot of things in camp, and plus some of the reporters, they're saying Charlie Warner's looked really, really good. So for me, it makes sense to have 4 tight ends on the roster. And I think Kittle was joking about it in a presser or something, but about a 4 tight end set. Honestly, I'd love to see that. I would genuinely love to see that. Just run a bootleg play action out of that. Nobody knows what's coming. Who's blocking, who's receiving.
No, yeah, exactly. That would be really fun to see. So, all right, more news on Shepley. According to Matt Mayoko, he's going to remain in the Bay Area with the intention of signing to the practice squad, and that right away just tells me that Grosso is out because from what I've heard, Grosso has looked absolutely terrible in camp, and yes, he could make the roster. I don't see why the heck you would keep him though. Like why not sign another center shortly after? Because from what I've heard, Grisseau has just looked absolutely terrible and not worth starting a starting position. Like he's going to get eaten up by whatever defensive tackles are going against him, and it's like the things that like people are saying is terrible of footwork and getting off the line. That's red flag immediately. So I just don't see it working out for him here. So yeah, and then speaking of the offensive line, let's just continue with that. How many guys do you got on there?
I got 9.
You got 9 too? All right, I got 9. So Williams, Tomlinson, Garland, Brunskill, McGlinchey, McKivitz, School, Compton, and Reynolds.
Yep, and I got one of Compton or Reynolds being cut when Weston Richburg comes back from the PUP list. Which
Yeah,
we
one
still
of
don't
those
know
guys.
the timeline of that, which is still kind of concerning. So that center spot is going to be something to really watch out for.
Yeah, definitely. I know hopefully Garland's ankle will heal up by week 1. So that's concern. I have the one difference I have is you said one of those guys is going to be cut when Richburg comes back. I have either Compton or Reynolds being cut like maybe even like an hour after they're on the roster because I think there's going to be a center out there that is cut and the Niners are going to sign him, bring him in, and put Reynolds on the practice squad or something like that. But before yesterday, I didn't have Compton on the roster, but then he did sign that extension. Or wasn't an extension. It was just like
I think it was a restructure.
Yeah, and you don't do that to a guy who's going to get cut. So I think, I think that both of those guys are going to make the roster. Last year we had 8. I think we're keeping 9 this year because of the interior line depth is just really poor. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. But, man, this is the easiest video I've done in a while.
Like, I mean,
same.
But one thing that concerns me about the lack of, like, just a lack of a quality center, I mean, here's like, Garland's not bad, but at the same time, during the playoff run, he was kind of getting bullied and pushed around by a lot of the interior defensive linemen, namely Chris Jones in the Super Bowl. But so that really concerns me about how we're going to be able to attack offenses until Richburg comes back. So I think we're going to rely on a lot of outside zone runs, and maybe
for sure.
And maybe just stay in shotgun, just not have Garoppolo take a lot of snaps under center unless it's a quick play action bootleg and Garoppolo gets the ball out of his hands almost instantly. So there's a lot of things to see about, especially at that center position, just so we actually have an idea of how we're going to play our offense.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I mean, you just said it perfectly right there. Wow, you want to talk about tanking? The Jaguars just cut both their backup quarterbacks.
Oh, no.
They cut both. I mean, that might be that, like, Jake Lund, the guy of Oregon State that they drafted, is pretty good, I guess. But they cut Josh Dobbs and Mike Glennon. So, again, those are 2 other guys that you could see on our practice squad. So I think, Rosen. I think I like Rosen best because I think he still has that upside to him. Like, there's a reason he was drafted 10th overall. But now you got other guys in case you want to put them there. So I think
I'm a bit biased, so I kind of want to see Josh Dobbs succeed.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, he went to my high school, so I'm rooting for him.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, I think I did, but that was in the back of my mind because I was about to say like you're an Alabama guy, Tennessee. I was like, that's a bit confusing. But yeah, okay, now that makes sense. But that would be pretty cool to see him, I guess. Here, he was good at Tennessee too, so I think you got some upside with him as well. So yeah, all right. Let's move on to the defense. So I got 9 guys.
I got 9.
9. Oh my God, is this going to be the same? Okay. So I got Ford, Kinlaw, Armstead, Bosa, DJ Jones, Ronald Blair, Solomon Thomas, Contavious Street, and Kerry Hyder.
The only difference here is that instead of Kerry Hyder, I have Dion Jordan.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard terrible things about Dion Jordan. I mean, that's surprising to me. I thought I would instead of Hyder, I was debating between Hyder, Givens, and Julian Taylor. I have Jordan getting cut.
Actually, I forgot we still have Julian Taylor.
We still have Julian Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, no, scratch that. That completely slipped my mind that we had Julian Taylor. So yeah, drop Dion Jordan, bring in Julian Taylor.
Yeah, Julian
I
Taylor, I think.
completely forgot about him.
Yeah, I was about to say Dion Jordan, like this dude was getting beat up by Jared Jones Smith out of all people. And I mean, I'm not downplaying how, like if Jared Jones Smith is good or not, but that's a guy who's a practice squad guy, and you're a first round pick getting beat up, like getting owned by a practice squad guy. That just shows that you are absolute dog shit. So I mean, yeah, I don't see Dion Jordan making this roster at all.
Yeah, the only reason
But
I had him just because like just a bit of extra edge depth. But then I
yeah, for
realized,
sure.
oh wait, Julian Taylor.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I think I got 8 locks out of this, and that's every guy but Hyder. And I think some people are going to say Contavious Street isn't a lock, but from what I've heard, he has looked excellent at camp.
Honestly,
So
I hope his injury healed up well because I want to see what he can actually do.
yeah, for sure. I think he's going to do really well. Personally, because I mean he hasn't done much before, and he didn't really do much in college either. But from what I've heard, he's looked really good. So I think he's definitely going to be making the roster. I know Lynch has talked about him and Solomon Thomas a lot, and just how well they've been doing. He also talked about Kevin Givens, who I do not have making the roster. I have Kerry Hyder making it over him, and the reason being is you just look at the other defensive ends on the roster. You got D Ford, Nick Bosa, and Ronald Blair. Ronald Blair had a season-ending injury. Nick Bosa has a hamstring injury now. D Ford, we know his injury history, and then you got Eric Armstead. So I think you have to have that security and put Kerry Hyder on the roster. Not to mention, we need a speed guy, a speed rusher. So I think Kerry Hyder fits that role really well, and he did really well with Kusarek in Detroit.
Yeah, that ninth spot's going to be interesting. It's just going to be what do the 49ers value more and what do they want to shore up first?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think Givens will make the practice squad. I think Julian Taylor will also make the practice squad. I just looked at it right now. I have 3 defensive tackles on the practice squad. So I think
I didn't really make a practice squad. I just put down.
Yeah, no, I didn't need one. I was just like using the practice squad just for reference, just in case. But on my practice squad, I have Julian Taylor, Darion Daniels, and Kevin Givens. So I think now I literally just realized I have 3 defensive tackles on our practice squad. So I bet you see like Darion Daniels get cut, pick up a defensive end. I think Ziggy Ansah's still unsigned, so maybe you add him to the roster
that
too.
surprises me.
Yeah, I mean he was okay last year, but I think yeah, Clowney too. If you really, we talked about that a bit at the beginning. It's got to be a cheap contract. So yeah, I think you could sign Ansah. You could sign another defensive end that gets cut because we know for sure that position there's going to be a lot of cuts as always there. So I think the practice squad, one of those guys is going to be cut. We'll add a defensive end, but right now on the roster got 5 DEs, 4 DTs, and you got 5 DTs, 4 DEs. So
yep,
yeah, perfect. All right, so that's the first thing we've had to debate right now. Antonio says we should just take 10 defensive linemen. We had 10 last year, and I think that I would have 10, but if it weren't for the interior line depth, right now I think I would. We have 9. I had to give that extra guy to the offensive line right there, considering that depth. It's just really concerning me. And then Antonio also said, is Taylor on PUP? I think he is right now. Yesterday he tweeted out he was ready to go. So I think they're going to activate him fairly soon. Maybe even today they activate him and he makes the roster. So yeah. Josh Hokett got cut. What's your source, Bean? I don't see that anywhere yet. I might have just not gotten the notification.
Oh yeah, David Lombardi.
David Lombardi. Okay, so Josh,
yeah,
he got so cut. Oh, okay. So I'm not surprised.
Oh no, waived. No, he got waived.
He got waived. Okay, he does intend to sign with the practice squad. So that's what I got right there.
Yeah.
Another guy. This might be a bit interesting to watch. Sidney Jones of the Eagles got cut. And apparently he was a big – there was trade talks from Matt Breida to Philly, and the Niners wanted him in return. So that might be a good thing to keep an eye on, see what we can do there. But Josh Hokett waived, and he does intend to sign with the practice squad, I think he'll probably be picked up on the practice squad, but I bet someone might swoop him up and pick him up. Whether it's, I said Buffalo before, there's probably another team looking for a fullback right now, and I think Hokett will. I definitely think he's going to sign with another team. I don't think he'll be a Niner, but yeah, I think he definitely has a good future in the NFL. So yeah, all right. Let's move on to the linebacker core, and I can see where this is going right now. We have the same numbers, so I got 4 linebackers. I'm assuming
I got 5.
You got 5. Okay, so
yeah, my extra guy's Mark Nazacha, so the special teams.
Mark Nazacha. All right, so where are you guys?
Quan Alexander, Fred Warner, Drake Greenlaw, Aziz Al-Shaair, and Mark Nazacha.
Fred Warner's on the COVID list, so he's not going to be on the 53rd man roster today.
Oh.
So yeah, so I do not. That's why I have 4. I do not have Fred Warner on this list right now because he's not gonna be on the roster today. This is for my roster today. As of today, this is gonna be the roster, and Fred Warner will not be on that roster today. He's gonna be activated sometime later in the week, probably. So that's why I think
I made this list maybe a couple of days ago. I don't know when I actually did this.
Fred Warner is not gonna be on this roster because he's gonna be on the COVID reserve list. So
okay, that's probably just to start the season until he gets the all clear.
Yeah, for sure. So if you can just add a guy wherever you want, whether it's linebacker, defensive line, any position.
Honestly, that actually makes my job easier because me adding that 5th linebacker, I had to cut an extra safety, so I'll just add that guy back.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I got 4 linebackers. I got Quan Alexander, Dre Greenlaw, Aziz Al-Shaair, and Joe Walker. And I didn't hear your thing because I cut you off. So what did you have again?
If you take away Warren, I have Alexander, Greenlaw, Al-Shaair, and Nazacha.
Nazacha. Okay, so there's a bit of a debate there. So the reason I have Walker making it over is because I believe we save a lot of cap if we cut Nazacha, and it pains me to do it because I do really like Mark Nazacha, and I think he was a key part to our special teams. But I think I have a feeling we're just going to cut cap right there, and we're going to cut not waive him and putting on practice squad. I think we're just going to cut him. Some other team can pick up that contract, and Joe Walker can come in. Another good guy on special teams. Started on Arizona last year. Great guy to have on the team. I think from what I've heard, he's looked pretty good. And then the odd man out is Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who I have on the practice squad.
For me, the reason why I put Nazacha over Walker is because, especially in a time like this where you don't really have a proper training camp, proper OTAs and all that, it helps to have guys who already understand the system. I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Special teams, it doesn't really help much, but anywhere you can just maintain or increase team chemistry, the better. So, just chemistry reasons, I got Nazacha over Walker.
Yeah, I think I would not be surprised at all if they kept Nazacha. I think a lot of people are saying that Nazacha is going to get cut because of the cap reasons. Because considering we're not cutting Coleman, you got Nazacha right there. But then also, I made this before the D Ford news came out this morning, so maybe that was the cap saving move, and maybe we do keep Nazacha. Yeah, I saw Shaquem Griffin got waived. I don't think we're going to sign him, but yeah, I think Walker or Nazacha. I really don't think you can go wrong either way there. Flanagan-Fowles, I don't know much about him because training camp we haven't seen that much news about anyone. So if Flanagan-Fowles could make this roster, that shows that's a really good sign in my opinion. But yeah, right now I think it's a toss up between Walker and Mark Nazacha, and I said Aziz Al-Shaair may not make this roster. I do think he's going to make the roster. Especially if Joe Walker makes this roster. I don't think you keep Walker and Nazacha. I think you got to keep one of the two. So, yeah.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
Joe Walker, really good run defender. That's another reason why I'm on the team. So, yeah. All right. Moving on to the secondary. I got 5 cornerbacks to start.
5 corners.
5 corners, too. All right. So I got Sherman, Mosley, Witherspoon, Williams, and Verrett.
The exact same 5 for me as well.
Exact same. All right, perfect. And I really think that's going to be the roster right there for the cornerbacks. I think you may see you have Dante Johnson, Tim Harris as well. Those are 2 other guys that you could add. which personally I just think I feel like Dante Johnson, just knowing his history with the team, I would not be surprised if he makes this roster. Tim Harris, on the other hand, again, 6th-round pick 2 years ago, wouldn't be surprised. But I see 5 cornerbacks, and we'll get into that in a bit. Why I see that, and also with the number, it's just a numbers game at this point. I would keep 6, but it's just a numbers game. I think last year we kept 6. And I think we need to keep Sherman, Mosley, Witherspoon and Williams for sure. The last one's a toss-up. I got Jason Verrett. Even though he's hurt, he's looked pretty good in camp, starting opposite of Sherman. He's been taking some first-team reps, which is always a good thing to hear. So, yeah, that's all I got for cornerback.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a rumor coming out a few days ago. I don't remember from where, but apparently it was about Witherspoon might have been on the trade block. So
I heard that too.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can put behind that. So I didn't really pay much mind. But if you think about it again now with the Sidney Jones news, that might be a guy to keep an eye on. And I think the actual player we're looking to trade for in Philadelphia was actually Rasul Douglas, not Sidney Jones.
It was both of those two.
Oh wait, it was.
It was. They wanted Matt Breida I think they wanted Jones or Douglas. I think they wanted one of the two from what I heard. So
gotcha.
That would be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember Jones's name being tied. I remember hearing Rasul Douglas's name a lot though, so that's the one I really remembered.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you said Witherspoon's on the trade block. I thought I heard a rumor, I don't know when it was, that he may be starting this year, opposite of Sherman. So yeah, I think you could. I mean, I want to talk about starting cornerback right now. It's really hard to tell because I think either Mosley, Witherspoon, or Verrett could start at that cornerback spot, and it's going to be a toss up. Right now, I got to stay safe. Put my money on Mosley right now because I've seen too many conflicting rumors with Witherspoon, and then Verrett and his injury history. I don't really know about that and how that's going to go. So
yeah. I mean, again, like you said, with all the factors there are, it's just go with the guy who doesn't really have anything really going against him.
Mm-hmm. Chase McLaughlin got waived. Oh, that sucks. But yeah, I thought. Wait, he got waived at the Colts though. Huh. That's interesting. I feel like.
Wait.
Oh, that means that Rodrigo Blankenship made the roster.
Wait.
If Chase McLaughlin got waived, then Rodrigo Blankenship made the roster because that's their other kicker.
The guy in Georgia, right?
Yeah, Georgia, the goggles guy, dude. That is hype, man. That is it, man. Blanket. He was a fan favorite at Georgia. I don't have any ties to Georgia or anything like that, but still, it's always fun when this guy with goggles just comes on. Walk on too, by the way. So. It's always a good story when the walk-on can make the 53-man roster. If Chase McLaughlin, if that's true, I haven't seen it yet. That's why I was just checking my phone right there. Oh, Rasul Douglas also waived, so another guy that you could add. So Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas, those are two guys you definitely got to watch for the Niners to sign. So yeah, there you go.
That's gonna make that corner room a lot interesting now. If we bring one of those guys in.
Yeah, for sure. I bet if they bring it in, if they brought him in, that would probably mean that Verrett's gone. But it's interesting. Or we go with 6 cornerbacks. That's the other thing.
But we go with 6 cornerbacks. Now we have to figure out who's getting cut where.
Exactly. So, yeah. All right. Safeties. I got 5 safeties.
Yeah. Originally, like I said, I had Warner on the roster. And then since with the COVID reserve thing, I'm adding on a 5th too. So.
You're on 5. 5th? All right, perfect. So I got – wait, I thought you said you had 5 before, though.
No, I had 4.
You had 4. Okay, so now, yeah, I got 5 safeties. And I got Tart, Ward, Moore, Harris, and Cyprien.
I have Tart, Ward, Harris, Maiden, and Cyprien.
Maiden and Cyprien. Instead of Tavarius Moore?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. I really wanted to put Jared Maiden on this roster. I gotta say, originally I had 6 safeties at first, but then I miscounted the running backs. I said I had 4 when I had 5. But I really wanted Jared Maiden to make this roster. and I think he's going to make the practice squad. And the reason being the six safeties. Six safeties. You got 5 cornerbacks though, and Maiden can also play that nickel position, so he can flip flop. And I know some people have like 11 to 10 guys in the secondary. So I think I would not be surprised if we rolled last year. Last year we rolled with 3 though, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do with safeties. But
for me, it's Maiden's versatility that puts me over the top for him over Tarvarius Moore in terms of that final.
Yeah, for sure. I'm surprised you put him over Moore because I feel like the thing that confuses me with that is Moore. I know the Niners have really, really wanted to improve Moore, and I remember last year they wanted him to start at free safety because they didn't know how Jimmy Ward was going to look. But yeah, I would think Harris or Cyprien would be cut instead of Moore if Maiden did make it. But and I know it's a big debate right now, Harris or Cyprien. I think you just got to go with both, man. Like Harris, people are forgetting Harris started last year and was pretty decent at it. If you ask me, and like, I mean, yes,
wasn't Harris the guy who also forced the fumble on Lamar Jackson? Or was that Tarvarius Moore?
Yeah, forced the fumble on Lamar. So he came in week 13 and says that's when Tark got hurt. So he came in, forced the fumble on Lamar Jackson. Week 14 couldn't cover a tight end to save his life. And then 15, 16, 17, he just gradually improved every time. And I think people are just forgetting that. So I think.
And didn't you also have a pick in the Super Bowl?
No, that was Moore.
Okay, that was Moore.
Moore got the pick. So I think they've been building their safeties really well, personally. Moore, Harris, and then Cyprien came in, just a guy to fill, like, supposed to be filling just like the void for training camp. But from everything that I've heard, everyone has taken note on him. Like everyone is saying that this kid is legit. So, I mean, I think Cyprien would make the roster. Antonio said it perfectly for your point. I can't really see Moore getting cut for one of the strong safety because then I think is Maiden a strong? I think he's a strong safety. Oh wait,
I don't know what he's actually listed as.
Okay, because I think he can really play anything in the secondary, but I feel like considering Maiden, I forget if he played strong safety or free safety. I think I'm going with the assumption that he played strong safety. So if are you Googling it right now?
Yeah, I'm Googling it right now. I'm just trying to see where he was listed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, no, he's a free safety because he played opposite of McKinney, and McKinney's a strong safety.
Gotcha.
So yes, he is a free safety. So that does make sense a bit more. Personally, I'm actually now that I think of it, that might be a smart move. I think Moore is going to make this roster. He definitely improved last year, little by little. Good player on special teams as well. So I think if Maiden did make this roster, I still think Harris or Cyprien would be cut. But that does make a bit of sense now to me.
Yeah, so. I mean, if Moore did make the roster, I'm leaning more towards Harris getting cut rather than Cyprien because, again, like you said, I've heard a lot of good things about Cyprien. Apparently, Cyprien's really been doing well in camp. And
well, then at the same time, we heard good things about Marcel Harris until he got hurt. Then he was out, and that's when Cyprien came in and kicked some ass. So it's going to be interesting because either way, if you waive one of those guys, they're gonna get picked up because I think Harris obviously started last year, so you get a starting caliber safety, or you get Cyprien, who has been the talk of 49ers camp, and that's hard to do considering that you got guys like George Kittle, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams. You got like your team is stacked, and the fact that Jonathan Cyprien is the guy making headlines, like that definitely shows something, and teams are going to want to hop on all over that. So
honestly, that actually makes me really excited because it's like when you have a good team and you got so many good players, and when you go into camp and you see guys coming in and out just straight up kicking ass, it's honestly just fun because it's like you got so many good players, but at the same time it's like who do you let go because you don't want to let go of anybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is always like one of the hard. Like GMs have said it. This is always the hardest day of the year because, first of all, you're telling people to their face that you're not good enough to make this roster, basically, and then you're also, I mean, it's like you're gonna cut someone that may turn out to be really good. And I know last year this is something that I did not bring up at all during this, which I'm surprised I didn't. But I feel like the Niners are gonna try to. They're gonna try to stash the low key, like the guys who are a bit more under the radar. Like I feel like a little bit because I mean last year, Caden Smith, they liked him, but they put him on the practice squad, and the Giants swooped him up and picked him up. So I think. Yeah, I think and that was their 6th-round pick, which they could have used on someone else. And now he's not even on the rosters. So I feel like all the draft pick this year, like Jennings, I think Jennings will make this roster because of the fact that we drafted him, and we could have got another guy in our secondary or something like that, or even a running back as well. So I think he'll make the roster. I mean, but then at the end, also you got like guys like Jeff Wilson, who I have on the practice squad. Also Julian Taylor, Kevin Givens on the practice squad. It's going to be interesting to see if those guys are going to clear waivers and sign with the practice squad.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. So this is probably like the biggest day of the NFL offseason that isn't, the opening day of free agency, because like shit hits the fan on the first day of free agency and then everything just dies down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got final 53-man roster cut day, which is just that's basically the day where you really get to say, hey, here are our guys, the NFL season's back.
Yeah. Dude, I'm just looking at the Tom Pelissero tweet right now. The Rodrigo Blankenship waving Chase McLaughlin. Rodrigo Blankenship is the kicker. The replies for that are just there's one with him next to Quavo, and it's like not even a competition. And then there's another one, 49ers Monday Night Legend. So,
oh my goodness.
I honestly good for Blankenship, man. Like I think that guy's gonna be a fan favorite. I wonder what Pat McAfee must love that right now. Because I mean Colts guy, fan favorite.
It's for the brand.
Yep, exactly. All right. For the brand. All right, last position, special teams. I got 3. No really competition for this. We don't really need to discuss this.
Gold, Wisnowski, Nelson.
And Kyle Nelson. All right, boom. So that's our 53-man rosters. I just made a practice squad just to give reference, just in case I need it. I'm just going to go over it really quickly right now. So I think I accidentally put 15 guys on here, not 16. But the guys I had listed, Jeff Wilson, Josh Hokett. Josh Hokett is now confirmed practice squad unless he gets picked up. Kevin White, Sean Poindexter, Chase Harrell, Marquise Gray, Grossu. I think they're just going to keep Grossu just in case they need a center, like an emergency center. But at the end of the day, I don't see him starting because I feel like he's just looked not so good. But I think it's just a safe idea to just keep him there. Then I got Jared Jones-Smith, who I haven't heard much about, but he was on the practice squad last year, so I may as well just keep him here. Julian Taylor, Darion Daniels, Kevin Givens, Flanagan Fowles, Tim Harris, Dante Johnson, and Jared Maiden. And I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I just want to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, so I did have 16. Okay, so the other thing I was going to say, I bet one of these guys gets cut and we add a quarterback to that practice squad because I don't think you can go in with 2 players on the total roster. So
yeah, that means we're probably that Betham's either somehow going to make the practice squad, or we might bring in one of Rosen, Dobbs, or maybe even Brock Rudder if he's still out there. I'm not sure if he got picked up or not.
I would love that, man. I mean, the thing with that is like a D3 guy that didn't do any training camp. Like I don't see that happening, but I would love that because I don't know if I was pretty high on him. I never said that he was going to make this roster, but practice squad, I think that would be really nice for him. But at the same time, it's kind of hard considering that like they cut him before the season even started, and I just don't see it happening considering that he has no NFL experience and he's coming from D3 and you put him on the practice squad to start the season. It just doesn't really make sense. Like he has to prove himself a lot more to do that. So yeah, you got anything else to add?
No, that's it for me.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to be back here tomorrow with Rohith and Antonio, another guy who's done a ton of videos with us, member of Faithful 4. We're going to talk about all the roster cuts, break it down. Make sure to follow us on Twitter We got at Niner Wire Sam, at Rohith and 71. We're going to be talking about these roster cuts all day. So make sure to check those out, and Instagram as well, right there. Also, tonight, today, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, we got a big video dropping. Should be fun. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But anyways, we're going to end the stream here. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Go Niners.